My name is Imran. I'm 24 years old. I live with my younger sister Nisa in a quiet suburban neighborhood called Maple Creek. It's the kind of place where people smile at strangers and nobody locks their doors before 10 p.m. At least that's how it used to be before he came. Nisa and I moved here about a year ago. Our parents passed away in an accident a couple years back. I was still in university back then, and Nisa had just started college. We got through it together. She's the only family I have left. I promised myself I'd protect her, no matter what. I work remotely as a tech support agent for a US-based company. My hours are weird, mostly evenings till midnight. Nisa attends classes during the day and does part-time shifts at a bookstore nearby. Everything was okay, until last winter. It started with something small. One evening, I was working on my laptop near the front window. It was around 10 p.m., cold outside, quiet. That's when I noticed someone standing across the street, not moving, just standing. At first I thought maybe he was waiting for a cab or smoking or something, but he didn't leave. He just stood there, completely still, for at least 20 minutes. I couldn't see his face clearly, but he wore a hoodie and the streetlight behind him cast a shadow, but I could feel it. He was watching our house. I called out, "Nisa, come here a sec." She came into the living room, confused. "What's up?" I pointed through the curtain. "See that guy?" She looked, then squinted. "Creepy. Maybe he's just lost?" Maybe, but something didn't feel right. After a few minutes, he walked away, slow and silent. No car, just walked into the darkness. The next night he came again. Same spot, same hoodie, just standing, watching. This time, he stayed even longer. Nearly 40 minutes before walking away without a sound. I started feeling paranoid, so I installed a camera just inside the front window. Behind the curtain, nothing fancy, just something to record the street overnight. But when I checked the footage the next morning, I got chills. He wasn't just standing. He was staring directly into our window, not moving, not blinking. And worse, at one point he stepped closer, just 2 steps, right to the edge of the sidewalk, closer to our house, then stood there for nearly 15 minutes. I couldn't see his face clearly. He always kept his head slightly down, but it was clear now. He wasn't lost. He wasn't smoking. He was watching. And only our house. I went to the police. They told me unless he actually came onto the property or tried to enter the house, there wasn't much they could do. Could be just a local guy with some mental health issue, one officer said casually. We'll increase patrols in the area. That was it. I didn't tell Nisa how freaked out I was, but I told her to keep all doors locked. We started pulling the curtains tighter at night. Still, I couldn't sleep properly. Every time the floor creaked or the wind moved the blinds, I'd jolt up, expecting to see that figure at the window. A week passed. No sign of him. I started thinking maybe it was over. But then, something new happened. It was a Wednesday night. Nisa had come home early from work because she wasn't feeling well. I was making her soup when she called from her room. "Imran?" "Yeah?" "Did you go through my drawers?" "No. Why?" She came out holding a small wooden box, the kind she kept her old letters and photos in. "This was open. It's always locked." My stomach dropped. "Are you sure?" She nodded. 100%. I haven't touched this in months. The key was still hidden where I left it, though. That night, I checked every window and door again. Nothing was broken. Nothing looked forced. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been inside. I set up more cameras. One facing the backyard, one by the side door. I even bought a motion sensor light and installed it near the garage. And then came Friday. The night I still can't forget. It started like any other. Quiet, cold, calm. Nisa was asleep early. I stayed up watching a movie on my laptop. Around 1:30 a.m., I heard a faint noise, a soft metallic clink from the kitchen. I froze, paused the movie. It came again. Very slow, very soft, like metal touching metal. I grabbed a torchlight and quietly walked toward the kitchen. The main light was off, but the fridge cast a dim blue glow. Nothing looked unusual. Then I noticed the back door. It was open, just slightly, or maybe an inch or two. I was 100% sure I had locked it. My heart raced. I turned the lights on and shouted, "Nisa, wake up!" She ran out of her room, half asleep. What? What happened? Stay behind me. I checked the whole house, every room, every closet, nothing. Whoever it was, if they came in, they were gone now. But this time, we both knew someone had been inside our home. We didn't sleep that night. I called the police again, and they finally agreed to send someone. But, once again, no fingerprints, no sign of forced entry, nothing missing. I showed them the camera footage, but the weirdest part, the cameras didn't capture anything. The feed from 1:20 a.m. to 1:50 a.m. was just black, like someone had cut the signal or jammed it. The officer said maybe it was a glitch, but I knew better. This guy, he wasn't just watching anymore. He was getting bolder and smarter. I changed the locks the next morning, got better cameras, even bought a baseball bat to keep by the bed, but I was scared, properly scared. That night, I kept all the lights on. I stayed awake in the living room with my laptop, watching the cameras in real time. It was around 2:13 a.m. when the backyard camera pinged, motion detected. I clicked on it immediately. There he was, standing just inside the backyard fence, closer than ever before. This time, he didn't have the hoodie. He wore a plain black jacket, his face still partly shadowed, but then something even more chilling. He looked directly at the camera, like he knew I was watching. And then he smiled. That smile, it wasn't wide or dramatic, just a tiny curve of the lips, but it felt personal, like he knew me. I panicked and turned on every outdoor light, ran to the backyard door and flipped the deadbolt. By the time I stepped outside with the bat, he was gone. Again. The next morning, I did something I should have done earlier. I visited the neighbors. Mrs. Kendall, our next-door neighbor, had lived in the area for 20 years. She's the kind of person who always notices everything. The mailman, the street cats, the wrong garbage days. When I showed her a still frame from the footage, she stared at it for a moment, then said something that gave me chills. I've seen him before. My voice got tight. When? Maybe a month ago. I saw him walking around the back alley around 3 a.m. I thought he might be one of those package thieves, so I kept an eye out, but he didn't take anything. Did you tell anyone? I mentioned it to Ron next door, but he just said I was imagining things. So it wasn't just us. He'd been lurking in the area for weeks. But why us? Why our house? That night, I stayed alert again. No sleep. Nisa tried to act normal, but I could see it. She was scared. Every little noise made her jump, even during the day. Around 3:30 a.m., another alert came from the side yard camera. This time, no figure, no face, just a piece of paper, taped to the window from outside. I slowly walked out, bat in hand. The air was freezing, but I could feel sweat on my back. I took the paper down. It was handwritten, with smudged black ink. One sentence: I was inside longer than you think. We left the house the next day, went to stay at a friend's apartment for a couple nights. I filed a formal case with the police, gave them everything. The footage, the note, the logs. Still, they said without a face or name, there wasn't much they could do. I even asked about getting patrol cars parked nearby, but they couldn't promise anything beyond random checks. We returned after 2 days, cautious, tense, double-checking everything. The house was untouched, no signs of entry, but it didn't feel safe anymore. It didn't feel like ours. Then, 3 days later, we caught a break. Nisa was checking her phone gallery for something when she paused and said, "Wait, what the hell?" She turned her screen to me. It was a photo. A selfie, except she didn't take it, and she definitely wasn't in it. It was taken from inside her room, at night and facing the window. The frame caught a corner of her bookshelf and curtain, and in the reflection, you could see someone, half a face, just one eye, a bit of nose, and a smirk. She scrolled down. There were 2 more photos, one from her bathroom mirror, one from the hallway, all taken while we were sleeping. My stomach turned. I checked the photo info, Jinn. Timestamps showed they were taken over a week ago, long before we even realized someone had entered. He had been inside more than once. This changed everything. I printed the photo and ran straight to the police station. This time, they took it seriously, opened an investigation, promised to go through nearby CCTV, doorbell cams, everything. We installed a full alarm system the same day, contact sensors, window glass alarms, even a private security patrol for 2 weeks. But I still didn't feel safe, because this guy, he wasn't just watching anymore. He was playing with us. Then came the final night. It was 2 weeks after the photos. I was finally starting to think maybe he was gone. Maybe the police spooked him. We were still cautious, but slightly more relaxed, until around 2:40 a.m. The alarm went off. Piercing, high-pitched. The motion detector from the living room had been triggered. I jumped out of bed, grabbed the bat. Nisa ran behind me, half crying. I peeked from the hallway and saw the silhouette. He was inside, right in the middle of our living room. Not rushing, not running, just standing there. I screamed, "Get out!" He didn't move. I flipped the light on and finally saw his face. He looked normal, late 20s, short beard, pale, tired eyes. But he smiled again, that same quiet, knowing smile. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the back door. I chased, but by the time I opened it, he was gone. The cops came within minutes. This time, they dusted for prints, took samples. They even found a piece of fiber stuck in the window frame, probably from his jacket. And finally, they found something. A match. Turns out, he had a record. Name, Kevin Archer. Arrested 2 years ago for breaking into a woman's home, stayed there for hours without her knowing, took photos, left weird notes. He had been released on probation 6 months ago. No job, no known address. Mental evaluation flagged him as potentially obsessive, unpredictable, under stress. They found him 3 days later, hiding in an abandoned building, just 4 blocks from our house. When they arrested him, he said something the officers later repeated to me. I just liked how quiet their life was. He had been watching us for weeks, sometimes sleeping under our porch, sometimes slipping in when we were gone, and once even when we were asleep. He didn't steal, didn't touch anything. He just watched, listened, took photos, and left, like he wanted to be part of our life without actually being invited. We moved out the following month. Different town, different street. We even changed our last names on the mailbox. I still check every window, 3 times before bed. Still wake up to check the cameras at night. Nisa's better now, and she goes to therapy. She's healing. But me, I still wonder, how many times did he watch us without us knowing?